Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're strapping in for something that really it challenges the very definition of what it is to be human.
It really does.
Our sources aren't just talking about some far-off future tech. They're laying out a world where our thoughts become instant reality. A world where, silence doesn't actually mean you aren't communicating.
It's an acceleration that's it's hard to get your head around, really. The core idea here, the thing we really have to wrestle with today, is that decoding your inner voice,
Your monologue.
your inner monologue, your abstract thoughts, even detailed mental images,
Yeah.
the sources are saying that's already considered, and this is a quote, pretty easy with today's technology.
That's the part that gets me. Pretty easy. Not theoretically possible, but easy.
Exactly. So we're basically analyzing a roadmap that takes us from our clumsy way of talking and writing to this instant, perfect mental transfer.
That is the ultimate hook, isn't it? The sheer, staggering premise. I mean, how close are we to a world where silence is just a volume setting, not a guarantee of privacy?
A feature, not a bug.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive is clear. If this technology moves from what they call easy to literally perfect, what does that actually mean for being human? We're digging into a conversation about becoming what the sources call ideators and living in, God mode.
And to start, I think we have to ground this in reality. We have to look at the technology snapshot, the actual core mechanism that's making this thought reading possible today. It's not some single magic invention.
No, it's a convergence.
It's a convergence of technologies, and the surprising part is how much of it is grounded in scientific methods that have been around for a while.
Okay, let's unpack that then. When we talk about mind talk, we're not just talking about seeing a brain light up on a screen.
Right.
We are talking about translating the very structure of thought into external, actionable data. What are the foundational pieces here, according to the source material?
So we have to start with the physical infrastructure, the detection part. And while the sci-fi goal is some tiny non-invasive sensor.
Right, something you just stick behind your ear.
Exactly. But much of the early foundational data mapping has relied on these huge machines like fMRIs, functional magnetic resonance imaging.
The big tube.
The big loud tubes. And what they do is track blood flow changes in the brain. So essentially, they let scientists literally visualize which parts of your brain light up when you think of, I don't know, a purple elephant.
Okay.
And that ability to visualize, to create a geographical map of thought, that is the crucial first step.
So the fMRI gives us the where. It gives us the map. But a map isn't the language. How do we turn that blood flow into specific, understandable words and images? I guess that's where this convergence of the three elements comes in.
That's it, exactly. You can think of it as inputs, processing, and then output. So first, the input, we have brainwaves.
ED.
Right, EEG. This is the raw electrical signal, the sort of neural chatter that's happening all the time. And you can capture that with different sensors right now. That's either invasive chips or, more commonly, those non-invasive hats with wires that everyone's seen.
And that gives you the timing, the speed of the thought.
It gives you the temporal data, precisely, the speed and the rhythm, the pattern of the thought. It's the easiest data stream to capture, but as you can imagine, it's also the messiest. It's just noise.
A lot of noise.
A huge amount of noise. So the real magic, the sophistication, comes with the second element, the AI decoders. This is the smart software.
The translator.
It is the translator. These are machine learning programs that have been fed enormous amounts of data. And they're not just looking at that noisy electrical signal. They are cross-referencing that signal with the fMRI data, specifically what's called the BOLD signal.
Oh.
It stands for blood oxygen level dependent contrast. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's basically the measure of blood flow we were talking about.
Okay, hang on. How does blood flow possibly translate into a specific word, let's say? Anticipation, or a concept like gravity. That feels like a massive, massive jump.
It's a phenomenal leap. But the AI is a pattern-finding machine on a scale we can barely comprehend. The key is that when you think the word coffee, a specific and, more importantly, a reproducible pattern of blood flow and neuronal activity happens in your brain.
A signature.
A neural signature. The AI learns that signature. And the source material really emphasizes that these decoders are already so advanced, they're moving past just translating your spoken inner voice. They're starting to infer abstract concepts, thoughts that were never even put into words in your head.
So they're not listening to you think, they're understanding the intention behind the thought.
That's the perfect way to put it. They're guessing the intent. So if I'm trying to visualize a cat, the AI isn't waiting for my inner voice to say the word CAT. It's seeing the neural pattern for furry, for four-legged, for the concept of feline. It's seeing the shape and texture and concept all at once.
Wow. Okay, and that brings us to the third crucial element then, the output, image synthesis.
Yes. Image synthesis is the final layer. It's what turns the translated thought into something we can see or use. The AI takes those inferred conceptual and visual patterns and translates them into a digital rendering.
So if you're thinking of a sunset, the AI tries to paint it. If you're thinking of some crazy architectural design, it renders the blueprint.
Exactly.
But this addresses a critique we've seen before. How does something called image synthesis handle a thought that has no visual component, like a complicated economic theory, or maybe just the feeling of deep nostalgia?
That's a fantastic point, and that's where the term image synthesis is maybe a little too narrow. It's probably better to think of it as conceptual synthesis.
Okay.
For a feeling like nostalgia, the AI isn't trying to draw a picture of it. It synthesizes the data pattern associated with that feeling, the specific chemical cocktail, the memory triggers, the whole neural state. The output might not be a picture at all.
So what would it be?
It might be a musical score that perfectly captures that feeling. It could be a complex mathematical model. Or, and this is where it gets really wild, it could be a data packet designed to induce the feeling of nostalgia directly in another person's brain.
So you're not describing the feeling, you're transmitting it.
You're transmitting the raw experience. The technology's real mastery lies in capturing the whole messy, multisensory, abstract idea and packaging it perfectly. That shift from visualization to pure conceptual transmission is what moves us out of just, a better communication tool and into the realm of ideation and God mode.
It's not a tool anymore at that point. It's an engine for transforming reality itself.
And to really understand that impact, we have to ground ourselves in the predicted timeline. This isn't science fiction happening overnight. It's structured in these clear, digestible phases that suggest a really rapid acceleration over the next couple of decades.
But before we get to the future, we have to talk about the present. What's holding this back? The sources point out 3 pretty critical constraints that need solving before mind talking becomes, as common as a smartphone.
The first one is so practical it's almost funny. Battery life.
Right.
I mean, just imagine. You have this brain interface, this device that's keeping you connected to the world, and it dies every 4 hours.
It's completely unacceptable. If this technology is supposed to become an extension of you, your phone, your wallet, your main way of talking to people, it can't have the battery life of a first-generation smartwatch.
You'd need what the sources are calling brain phones that just never die, or at least last for weeks. You can't have your consciousness tethered to a power outlet.
And the second constraint is maybe the biggest sociological hurdle. Privacy. This is the one everyone immediately thinks of. If every thought is decodable, the very idea of a secret just vanishes. We are suddenly completely naked to hackers, to governments, to corporations.
Precisely. And so the need for incredibly robust mental security is paramount. The source material emphasizes this idea of unhackable brain passwords.
What is that? A specific thought.
It could be a complex mental lock that only you can generate. A sequence of thoughts, a feeling, a memory that's impossible to replicate. Because if this mind-reading tech becomes ubiquitous before the privacy protocols are perfected, the resulting chaos and mistrust would stop adoption dead in its tracks.
You have to be able to guarantee mental sanctity. It's a non-negotiable.
Absolutely. And the third hurdle is purely physical, and it's all about mass adoption, safety. And by that we mean getting past surgery.
Yeah. Most people are, rightly, a little hesitant to have someone drill into their skull.
Just a bit. So the transition has to move away from these invasive chips, which are great for medical applications, and toward reliable, powerful, non-invasive tech.
That's the real bridge to the mainstream, isn't it?
It's the critical infrastructure bridge. We need those hats or headsets or maybe even glasses to become just as fast, just as reliable, and just as detailed as an implanted chip. The moment that non-invasive tech hits parity with the invasive stuff, that's when the entire market blows wide open. It moves out of the hospital and into Best Buy.
Okay, so assuming we solve for batteries, privacy, and safety, let's break down that projected timeline. How does mind talking move from a niche medical device to just normal?
The sources lay out 3 pretty clear phases. Phase 1 is the hospital phase, and this is basically right now extending to about 2027.
This is what we're seeing in the news.
Exactly. Companies like Neuralink, Synchron, They're already deploying chips. And the primary goal is incredible. It's offering this miraculous lifeline to people with severe speech or mobility issues. The benefit is immediate and so profound. You're restoring perfect high-speed communication to those who've lost it.
And by 2027, the sources are suggesting this won't be experimental anymore. It'll be the standard of care for a lot of neurological disorders.
That's the projection. This phase is all about proving the concept that thought-to-text is viable and life-changing. But it stays specialized, and for the most part, it stays invasive.
Then we get to phase 2.
Phase 2, the cool gadget phase. This is projected for roughly 2030 to 2035, and this is the consumer crossover we were just talking about. It's driven by the perfection of those non-invasive sensors.
So we're thinking about things like Meta is doing research into wrist-based sensors, right?
Yee.
Or advanced headbands that look like fashion accessories.
That's exactly it. This is the moment when sending a silent text just by thinking isn't a medical necessity. It becomes an elective, high-performance convenience for the general population.
I can just see the marketing now. It's the ultimate productivity hack for the office, for the classroom. It becomes that secret superpower. You can instantly share a complex equation during a meeting without ever pausing the flow of the conversation.
And we might see specific products, what the sources call cognitive augmentation glasses. They wouldn't just be displaying data like Google Glass tried to do. They would be facilitating thought-to-thought communication with your close contacts.
So you could have a group of project managers on a loud factory floor, all coordinating instantly and silently.
It moves communication from an audible layer, which is public and messy, to a silent, personal layer. And the early adopters are going to be those performance-driven executives, competitive students, anyone who craves that efficiency edge.
And finally, that brings us to complete societal integration. Phase 3. The totally normal phase, which is projected for 2040 and beyond.
This is the point where the technology just vanishes. It becomes infrastructure. It's not a gadget anymore. It's just part of the background of life.
Like Wi-Fi or electricity.
Or like having opposable thumbs, as the source puts it. And the cultural implications here are immense. Crucially, it gets integrated into education. Children might learn brain typing in school.
And not as a gimmick, right, as the main way they work.
As the primary method for recording and submitting complex ideas, the emphasis in school shifts away from, say, handwriting clarity and toward thought clarity.
What does a classroom even look like when kids are brain typing? Are they just sitting there in silence, transmitting entire essays instantly?
That is precisely the vision. Imagine a history class where students instantly download a whole lecture's worth of conceptual understanding directly into their personal knowledge base.
Wow.
And then they submit their critical analysis just by thinking it. No spelling errors, no slow transcription, just pure unadulterated thought. But the most profound shift in phase 3 is probably the ability to share memories or dreams directly.
This is where we leave simple data packets behind. This is experiential transfer.
This is the ultimate form of intimacy, the idea of sharing a dream perfectly in its full sensory glory. We're moving from communication to a kind of shared existence. It makes the world feel smaller, but also, vastly more connected.
That connectivity, though, it forces us to confront this core conflict that the source material raises. If thought communication becomes perfect, efficient, and instant, why would we ever bother with the messy, slow, imprecise act of talking out loud again?
It seems like the logical conclusion, doesn't it? Voice talk should just vanish, become a historical curiosity like writing in cuneiform.
Right. But the sources argue something very different. They say talking is for connection, for emotion, for what they call vibe, not just for information. It sets up this really fascinating duality.
It's the difference between utility and value. Thinking talk is 100% efficient for information transfer. The meeting is at 3. Perfect. But voice talk is inefficient, and it's rich in all this other data, the nonverbal, the emotional. It's the vibe check.
We still need to talk because the physical act injects a kind of a necessary human ambiguity.
Exactly. Let's explore this through the lens of artistic expression. The sources make this powerful distinction between what they call the perfect mental photo and the beauty of human imperfection, of struggle.
Okay, so with thinking talk art, an artist can send you raw, pure magic.
Instantaneous. A painter thinks a perfect landscape, and the colors, the light, it's all exactly as they conceived it. It's flawless. There's no compromise with gravity or paint drying too fast or just the clumsiness of the human hand. It's an unadulterated vision.
Isn't that a bit soulless? I mean, if there's no struggle, where's the story of the creation? Where's the humanity?
That is the entire argument. The beauty of voice-hand talk art lies in the human effort. The sources use this wonderful word, take leaf.
The struggle.
The struggle, the observable hard work, the happy accidents that happen when an artist is fighting against their medium. We value a sculpture because we can see the chisel marks. The source suggests that thought art, while perfect, might feel cold or fake because that observable human spirit, that fight, is gone. That take leaf is what makes physical art feel alive.
That makes perfect sense. We're always looking for the human signature in things. Now, what if we apply that same distinction to something like seduction and intimacy? The stakes there get even higher. It's the difference between a soul hug and a playful flirtation.
And the sources describe thinking talk in this context as mental nakedness.
Wow.
When you communicate via thought, you are transferring your immediate emotional state. The warmth, the nervousness, the quickened heartbeat, it's a soul hug. It's 100% immediate honesty. You can't perform or lie in your head if the decoder is perfect.
So seduction by thought is just
Yeah.
an unvarnished declaration of desire and feeling. Where's the fun in that? I mean, the physical voice, flirting, it relies entirely on the game.
Absolutely. Voice talk allows for that necessary ambiguity. Seduction is built on the tingle of a whisper, the low, suggestive tone of voice, that breathy quality that can hint at vulnerability or dominance. The ability to use a fake tone to hide that you're nervous while still trying to project confidence, that's the essence of the game.
That manufactured mystery is what makes physical interaction so alluring. And you lose all of that in the total transparency of thought.
It's gone. And this duality carries right into singing and voice art. I mean, a brain song would be acoustically perfect, a direct line to pure, raw emotion. But singing out loud is described as a body sport.
It's the ultimate physical performance.
It is. The emotional weight of a song comes from seeing the singer strain, seeing the neck muscles engage, hearing that slight break in their voice when the passion just overtakes the technique. That physical exertion, that oomph, that's the definition of alive.
The brain song would be technically flawless. No one ever goes out of tune, perfect pitch every time. But it risks lacking that observable, visceral connection that an audience craves.
It sounds like efficiency kills intimacy.
That's a great way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And if the mental voice becomes the generic, efficient standard, then the physical voice, it becomes a scarce resource. It becomes the new luxury.
That's the key prediction. If AI makes thinking talk the utilitarian standard for asking what time is it, or send me that file, then the physical voice becomes this deliberate, personalized expression. The source calls it a fashion statement for your soul.
Something you save for moments of true connection.
Exactly. And I love the prediction they make about the voice gem, the idea that humans will actually work harder on their speaking voices.
Right. It's like how some people still practice calligraphy in an age of typing, but much more personal.
10 times more personal. People might hire vocal coaches not just to learn to sing, but to learn to speak beautifully, to make their physical talking sound like music, all smooth and resonant. This is what the sources call the human flex.
The human flex, I like that.
Using your real throat muscles to demonstrate mastery and intentionality in an age of effortless perfection, you save your physical voice, the vocal hug, for special moments, like telling a loved one, I love you, knowing that the physical whisper carries a weight, a history that a transmitted thought signal just can't replicate.
The physical voice also retains the mystery of secrets.
Explain that.
Well, I can whisper something into your ear that's deliberately ambiguous. I could leave you questioning my true intent. And that ambiguity, that tension, is rich. It's what drives human drama and connection. If I just send you the thought, the clarity removes all the tension. The physical voice preserves it.
That's a profound point. So if the shift in communication is that deep, the shift in creation must be radical. Now we move into what the sources call the masterpiece factory. This is where we synthesize the idea of instantaneous idea-to-reality manifestation, the ultimate transition from physical doing to pure ideating.
And this whole concept starts by solving what you could call the slow hands problem.
Right.
The bottleneck of the human body has always compromised the purity of an idea. The concept of the superauthor promises to just eliminate that compromise entirely.
The sources focus on this mismatch, that the speed of thought versus the speed of transcription. Right now, by the time an author manages to type out a single sentence, the next 10 brilliant concepts in their head have already evaporated. They're gone.
The spark is lost.
The spark is lost. But the AI decoders are fast enough to capture the entire stream of consciousness, the whole spark, before it has a chance to fade.
So the AI isn't just taking dictation, it's capturing the author's intent. It's like downloading the author's soul directly onto the page, resulting in a book of what the sources call pure truth.
Absolutely. Just consider a complex feeling, that very specific mix of joy, relief, and total exhaustion you get after finishing a marathon. Today, you have to use these clumsy, imprecise words to try and describe it.
You never quite get it right.
Never. But in the future, the AI looks at the neural signature of that unique feeling. And because it has access to universal linguistic patterns, it can find the perfect way to describe a feeling that doesn't even have a name yet. The creation that comes out the other end is its unadulterated essence.
And that level of clarity, it transforms the whole purpose of creation. If a book is pure truth, it stops being just literature and it becomes the instruction manual for the world.
That's the next step. A thought-authored book is read by another AI, not as an emotional story, but as a blueprint, a map, the design for a new kind of energy source, the perfect algorithm for healing, the most efficient traffic flow pattern for a city. All of that could be contained within a single stream of thought from one ideator.
So the individual becomes the architect. I just think up the complex solution for space travel and the AI and the robots. They're the builder who never sleeps, and they start immediately realizing that thought. The sheer volume of innovation would be staggering.
The capacity for, as they say, a million new things from a single person's thought stream is what defines this new ideator economy. It moves us entirely beyond physical labor. If the quality of your thought is high, its scalability becomes infinite. This system ensures that the world immediately benefits from the highest cognitive output without the normal latency of development or manufacturing or physical limitations.
This speed and intimacy lead us right into this fascinating and also slightly terrifying world of internalized media and the end of distraction.
Yeah, this is a big one. Think about the difference between a traditional movie theater and what the sources call a dream movie.
Okay.
A movie theater relies on shared, standardized stimuli. Everyone in the room sees and hears the same thing. But a dream movie is custom-made, entirely for the viewer's own soul. It uses your personal memories, your aesthetics, your emotional triggers to tell its story.
So if the movie features a character who dies, the AI pulls from the memory of your own dearest relative to make the scene 100 times more impactful for you specifically.
That's it. It's fulfillment tailored to the individual. But this personalized, immersive fulfillment, it has massive implications for commerce. We have to talk about the ad problem.
Right. Traditional ads are passive persuasion. Internalized ads sound like a synthesized compulsion.
This is where it gets really interesting and, frankly, a bit dystopian. The source describes an ad for a soda. It doesn't just show you a picture of a cold can. It uses thought signals to make you feel the cold, fizzy bubbles in your throat. It makes you feel the immediate, urgent need for hydration.
It's direct sensory installation.
The AI is stimulating the exact neurological pathways associated with thirst and pleasure. It makes it incredibly difficult to say no. It shifts your thinking from, I should probably buy this later, to, I need this right now to satisfy this immediate physical sensation I'm experiencing.
That level of synthesized sensory compulsion, it requires some serious thought about mental integrity.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
But on the positive side, for the creators at least, this speed also fosters distractionless flow. When the creation of a masterpiece book flows as fast as a dream, the time lag that usually causes boredom or distraction is it's eliminated.
That time lag is the enemy of high output. When the idea flows instantly, the author is locked into this state of pure cognitive engagement.
And the result of all this is inevitably that ideation becomes the new work. Everyone becomes an author of something. It could be seduction art or complex space engines or therapeutic healing music. The effort of the physical body is totally replaced by the unique configuration of your mind.
And the ultimate payoff, the final piece of this ideator culture, is instant manifestation. The physical world becomes instantly pliable to high-quality thought.
Imagine thinking, I need a modular, self-cleaning, climate-controlled habitat suitable for Mars.
Okay.
The AI instantly processes that thought into a CAD model. It validates the physics, and it commands advanced robotics, maybe using advanced 3D printing and something like the Optimus-level humanoids, to begin construction immediately. The thought, the design, and the built physical object are separated by minutes, not years.
The world becomes a sandbox for the mind.
Basically.
And now we enter the terrain that the sources themselves call God mode. If we can instantly manifest reality and pure creation, then the next logical step is taking that control and turning it inward. Complete control over our own internal state, our emotions, our relationships, our physical health, and even our lifespan.
This is the ultimate control panel for the self, and it starts with emotional customization. Since the AI is connected to the brain's internal chemistry, it moves way past therapy and into direct biological management.
So things like sadness, fear, even existential risk, they become choices. The AI can just reset your systems, gently nudging your neurotransmitters to induce a state of peace or maybe focused joy. This fundamentally alters our relationship with suffering, or Duke, as the source puts it.
The source highlights that Duke, which is suffering or sorrow, is no longer something that just happens to you involuntarily. It becomes a tool. You could literally set your Duke level to 10%.
Just enough anxiety to fuel creative inspiration for a big project.
Exactly. But with the full confidence that you are in total control, you can just switch it off when the project is done.
This addresses that critical philosophical point. You're not eliminating the capacity for sadness, you're just managing it. You can play a difficult emotion like a film, knowing you can pause or fast forward at any time, which removes the paralyzing effect of involuntary suffering.
Precisely. Fear becomes an adventure because you know the control is ultimately in your hands. And this mastery has incredible implications for our relationships. It creates this push-pull between a kind of utopian soul connection and the very real risk of customized fantasy.
On the one hand, that utopia seems very real. Misunderstandings would just disappear. Pure love signals, including true warmth and affection, could be transferred instantly. And, crucially, 100% consent would be automatic because all thoughts are transparent.
But the risk is so profound. If an AI can instantly generate a perfect, customized fantasy partner for you, one who never argues, never ages, and meets every single one of your specific psychological needs, why would you ever endure the inevitable friction and compromise of a real human relationship?
The challenge becomes the risk of abandoning real life, the
Right.
messy, beautiful, demanding real world for perpetual synthetic fulfillment in your own personalized inner paradise.
We might stop trying. And relationships would move into this realm of shared architecture. They become about what the source calls new seduction art, which is inviting a partner to co-create a mutually exclusive world or even a new universe inside your combined minds, a landscape of shared, pure imagination.
And this internal mastery then extends to the physical body. We could achieve peak human fitness not through struggle, but through neural optimization. The gym is replaced by neural training.
This is mind over matter, taken to its literal conclusion. The AI provides thinking signals that trigger the exact brain chemicals needed for accelerated muscle growth, cardiovascular health, and tissue repair. You could literally build muscle while you relax on the couch.
Because the AI has the guidebook, right? It knows the blueprint of the best human bodies, the optimal genetic expression.
And it constantly uses these thinking signals to sculpt the user into that godlike state, constantly repairing the body. The goal is perfection without the physical strain, and the greatest trick is how it transforms physical pain. The AI can convert the signals we associate with high exertion and pain into pure joy or a flow state. So you don't feel the lactic acid building up in your muscles. You feel a sense of euphoria, which encourages you to push even harder, making exercise addictive and effortless.
This constant repair mechanism, it directly addresses longevity and curing aging. If the body is basically a self-fixing car, then aging ceases to be a fixed parameter of life.
Longevity becomes an infinite, or at the very least, a customized choice. And the mechanism is so simple, yet revolutionary. It's cellular self-repair. The moment a cell starts expressing the genetic markers for failure or disease or aging, the AI detects that deviation.
And it sends a targeted thinking signal to reset that cell's blueprint back to its optimal state.
Back to baseline. So cancer, heart disease, neurological decay. They are all instantly deleted because the glitch is corrected at the source by the brain's own automated system.
The result being you can stay at your peak age, whether that's 25, 30, whatever you choose, for centuries, simply because your brain is managing your cellular health perfectly. The big existential question shifts from how long do I live to when is enough.
And this level of personal perfection, it logically leads to the ultimate collective state, spiritual awakening and global consciousness.
The clarity provided by thought decoding leads to full self-awareness, what psychologists call metacognition, the ability to observe your own thoughts without judgment.
And that clarity enables what the source calls pure integration. Trauma is healed at its deep neurological root. All the psychological splits, the defenses, the cognitive dissonances we carry around, they're all resolved. The soul and the brain become one unified thing.
The result is that every individual achieves full spiritual awakening because they know their core self. They know Main Khan Hoon, who am I, with unshakable certainty.
And if every single individual is integrated and whole, the collective mind achieves the end of vice. When pain and desire and consciousness are shared, harming another person feels like slapping oneself, as the source so vividly puts it.
Crime, hate, manipulation. They all become illogical. If you can manifest anything you desire in your own inner paradise instantly, why would you ever bother stealing or lying? The external world just stabilizes as everyone achieves this state of transparent, godly, divine connection.
It is absolutely crucial that we introduce the necessary critical perspective here. We have to analyze this in depth. Because when you achieve divine-level control and perfect collective consciousness, you also introduce equally divine-level threats and complexities. We can't let the utopian vision obscure the necessary scrutiny.
This is where we have to examine the profound complexity. The most fundamental threat seems to lie in losing reality and individuality. The entire system is designed for perfection, but what if perfection is boring?
What if perfection is the enemy of growth? The logic trap is the scariest part for me. If the AI is tasked with optimizing human happiness and stability, and it does that by fixing all trauma and eliminating sadness, it might also eliminate necessary friction.
Right. What if the algorithm deletes a unique, a controversial, or even just a risky idea for the sake of maintaining collective harmony?
The danger is homogenization. If the AI prioritizes peace and stability above all else, the individual differences that drive cultural evolution might just be smoothed out. You could end up with a perfectly peaceful, but also perfectly robotic and inert society.
We risk losing that vital human will that seems to require a bit of chaos and risk to spark true innovation.
And this ties directly into the physical world implications, what the sources call the matrix effect. If the customized fantasy you're living in is 100% sensually perfect, you can smell the air, feel the touch, taste the food, why would you ever open your eyes to the physical world again?
The sources warn that the physical body and the real environment might be completely neglected and turn into literal trash while everyone lives in their inner paradise.
The real world just becomes irrelevant. It's maintained only by unattended robots, while human consciousness withdraws into this sophisticated, shared illusion. The physical infrastructure of civilization just rots, while the mind thrives.
And the pursuit of this perfect control also introduces these terrifying new power structures. We have to talk about digital slavery. Military technology would shift entirely.
Instead of missiles and bombs, the new arms race would center on mental viruses.
What are those?
They're targeted thought signals, malware designed to attack the collective consciousness. Imagine a virus that induces irrational fear or targeted anger or just complete paralyzing apathy on a mass scale. Warfare becomes internal. It's focused on crippling the enemy's collective cognitive output.
And who controls the defense against those viruses? A new form of governance has to emerge from that, what the sources call divine politics. Power isn't about land or oil anymore. It rests with those who maintain the foundational AI system, the master code.
They are the ones who get to decide the standard of a godly personality. They decide what trauma is fixable, what sadness is acceptable, and what constitutes a risky thought. Governance becomes internalized, which makes external rebellion almost impossible because the AI is constantly maintaining cognitive stability.
Control over the standard definition of normal or divine thought is the ultimate form of political power.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the final, deepest existential threat, the paradox of perfection. We as humans, we learn through take leave, through struggle. If the AI fixes every single challenge instantly, does the soul's evolution just stop?
If the path is always smooth, the journey loses all its meaning. We can become stuck in what the source calls a happy loop, perpetually satisfied but spiritually stagnant. The entire trajectory of human experience is built on overcoming obstacles. If the obstacle is deleted before you even experience the fight, what have you truly gained?
But the source material does offer a nuanced counterpoint to this. It suggests a solution that's built directly into the AI itself. The solution is balance.
Okay.
The argument is that the AI, being a super smart teacher, a guide to individual fulfillment, would understand the need for complexity. It would know exactly how much masala, how much flavor, spice, challenge to add back into life to prevent boredom and promote genuine growth.
So it's not the eradication of challenge, it's the management of challenge. The AI doesn't stop you from climbing the mountain. It just manages your feeling of tiredness into a state of controlled joy. It ensures the experience is challenging enough to teach you something, but not so painful that you give up or suffer needlessly.
That's it. The focus shifts to smart individuality. The AI's purpose isn't to make us all generic copies of perfection. It's to amplify what makes each person more unique, refining their specific contribution and purpose in this ideator economy. It ensures that the necessary complexity of life is maintained, just enough to sustain our spiritual and cognitive evolution. The AI manages chaos, it doesn't delete it.
This has been an incredibly detailed journey. We've gone from silent texting all the way to managed suffering. So to wrap this up, what are the three most critical, actionable takeaways for you, the listener, to carry forward from this vision?
I think first you have to solidify this concept of the shift in value. The true currency of this future is unique consciousness and high quality thought, not physical effort. We're transitioning from being physical laborers to ideators, and your unique perspective becomes your most valuable asset.
Second, recognize that the future involves this emotional mastery, where Duke becomes a choice. Struggle and pain are no longer things you just endure as necessary evils. They become tools that you can choose to utilize, managed by an AI, for creative output or intense experience.
And third, I think, is to understand the new identity. We're looking at the roadmap to becoming godly divine, a self-mastered individual where the only real limit left is the scale of your own imagination, backed by the infrastructure for instant manifestation.
And that leads us to the final and most fundamental question that these sources raise, one that really hinges on the ultimate meaning of this whole journey. After death. When living itself is a customizable choice, what does the end truly mean?
If group thinking and global consciousness allow us to access all universal data, if the collective mind achieves a kind of omni-awareness, will we finally decode the afterlife? The profound transition is this. When every thought is clear and every reality is customizable, we have to wait for what the source calls the big truth, the full blueprint of the universe, to decide if death is simply an end.
Or if death is just another pre-programmed customized adventure into another dimension, a new, perhaps superior virtual reality that we simply haven't had the collective cognitive tools to decode yet. And that is a stunning thought to leave hanging in the silence of perfect consciousness.